Hello and welcome back to another episode of Adventures in Marketing. I am your host, Gwen Montoya. I am a marketing and business strategist, and I help you market better. I am going to be talking about 5 traps to avoid when it comes to marketing today. And this is completely inspired by a TikTok trend, actually, and that centers around 5 things I wouldn't do as, and then you fill in the blank for the topic. So I've seen some really great content, and I've even made some content over there, and you can follow me on TikTok at gmontoyapdx. That's what I want to talk about today is 5 really common marketing traps that people fall into, why I think they fall into them, and maybe some things to do instead. And at the top of my list is going to be jumping into ads, because it seems to be a thing that a lot of business owners think will fix all of the problems. And on the surface, it makes sense, right? Like if there's more sales, if ads generate more sales, then there's more money to put into the business. There's more money to create things. There's more money to pay yourself. All of that makes sense. I absolutely understand why so many people jump to advertising as the first thing. However, if you have broken systems in your business, running an ad will just magnify what's not already working. And if the ad doesn't work, either because the targeting was off or you didn't know enough about ads, or the person you hired didn't do what you needed them to do, or the ad budget was too small. There are so many things that can go wrong with ads. There's a lot of things that can go right, but there's so many things that can go wrong with ads. And so when people jump to ads as the solution that will solve their problem, I feel like they're missing just a lot of steps, because I think that there needs to be systems and processes in place for how to manage anybody who comes from an ad, right? We have to understand the client journey in a really clear way, because an ad is just part of that. The ad might accelerate that, but it's not going to create clients necessarily, right? And I think that's a thing that people think is that if they run one ad and they pay, whatever the amount is, and they run the ad and this massive income comes in, these massive flux of orders, it doesn't usually happen that way. Ad strategy is a longer term strategy. It's not necessarily something that's going to pay off in the first 2 weeks. There's a lot of experimentation and there's a lot of learning that happens when you're working with somebody who does ads. So expecting that to be the thing that saves your business is usually not the right way to go. I also think that there's a lot of user experience. Like we talked about the client journey, meaning how does somebody find you? What are your processes to help them understand what you do? How do you warm them up? How do you build trust in a relationship, and all of those pieces? But even underneath that, there's a user experience that really needs to be addressed a lot of times before you start running ads. So that means how somebody feels when they come to your website, where they go on your website. All of those things have to be understood before you start running ads. Because like I said, it will just amplify all the stuff that's not working. Another pitfall I see a lot of small businesses fall into is not vetting their team, not making sure that the person that they are hiring can do the thing that they actually say that they can do. You really have to vet whoever you give money to. Check their references, talk to them, learn about their workflow, how they do it, make sure that it matches with how you want to work, and then manage the expectations. Like the person that you hire needs to manage your expectations of what they can accomplish, and you need to manage their expectations of what you can provide, right? Because I feel like a lot of these nightmare scenarios of, somebody hired a freelancer or somebody hired a company and it didn't work very well. A lot of it comes down to communication styles just not meshing or not happening at all. So if you're going to hire something out, make sure that the person that you're working with understands your business, that you have vetted them, like actually talked to the references that they provide, actually checked out their testimonials, seen examples of what they've done, because that makes a big impact. And then also don't forget to check in with them along the way, right? It is really easy to hire somebody and then think you don't have to worry about it at all. And ideally, that's the way it works. But really, you're bringing on a team member. You're bringing on somebody else to help you with your team. So you need to have a conversation with them, a regular check-in. If they're reluctant to do that, to me, that would be a red flag, right? And just because you work a certain way, or you are primarily visual, or you primarily want things written down, the other person, like you are building a relationship with this person that you're going to work with. So Make sure that you're on the same page as far as how information is shared, what deadlines are, all of those things, and don't let the ball drop on your end because you're nervous about bringing it up to them. Vetting your team, making sure that you're comfortable with the person that you're working with is going to save you so many headaches. Next up is getting stuck in comparison mode. This is so easy to do, especially if you're just starting out or you are having a lull in your business or you're not really connected to your business at a certain time. It can be really easy to start checking out to see what everybody else is doing in your industry. And, there's a place and a time for checking out what somebody else is doing, but it can also spiral into being something that's not helpful or productive. So definitely follow somebody who inspires you, but don't follow with that idea of feeling bad because your business isn't theirs, right? Like there's that saying that you can't judge somebody else's 5-mile mark when you're just at the 0-mile mark. You have to understand where they are and where you are may not be the same things. And if it's inspiring to you and you feel motivated, then definitely do that. But if you find yourself spiraling and thinking that everybody else is having success except for you, it's definitely time to step away from social media, because we know that whatever happens on social media has a truth to it, but it's not a fully true statement, right? So it's polished, it's processed. The things that you see on social are not necessarily accurate or the complete truth. So if you're feeling really bad about the work that you're doing and you're feeling like you're not you're not measuring up to somebody else, just step away from social media. It will be there when you get back, because you need to be focusing on what you can do versus what you wish you were doing or the business that you wish you had. You have to work on what you have now and build that to be the thing that you want it to be. I think another component of this thing where we look at what somebody else is doing, and even if it's, even if you're in an okay place as far as their success and your success, it can start to feel like there's only one way to run a business. Especially with algorithms, they feed us the same content over and over again. So it can feel like the only way to have a business is if you have a podcast and a YouTube channel and you take out giant billboards, right? But we know that there's lots of businesses who do not have any of those things and they have success. So part of it is being inspired by, but not being constrained by what you see, because your business is your business, literally, and you have to run it in a way that feels really good to you. So again, get inspired and then get to work. Number 3 of marketing mistakes that I think people fall into, and that is this idea that you have to create original content for every single platform. Like you can only create a TikTok that exists on TikTok, and your Reels only exist on Reels, and your Instagram posts only live on Instagram, and your Facebook posts only live on Facebook. Nobody has time for that at all. So these platforms make it really challenging, at least the ones that will watermark your content for you, which is so thoughtful. But we don't have time to be creating individual content for every single thing, especially as, the veil between TikTok and Reels, as Reels continues to copy TikTok. Yes, this is my chance to rag on Instagram on this podcast episode, because I'm not going to miss that chance. But as Instagram continues to copy TikTok, what I have seen is that Instagram Reels in some way, and also don't forget Facebook Reels, have become a little bit more casual than they were like a year ago or even 6 months ago. And so that means that you don't necessarily have to be, unpolished on TikTok and then do a whole polished thing over on Reels. You really can use your content, and you absolutely should. One of the best ways to do that is to film it on your phone or wherever you film. If you use one of the best ways to do that is to film your content on your own device, whether that's your computer, your phone, your tablet, your own special camera, whatever that is. Film the content in your own. One of the best ways to do that is to film your content either on your phone or your tablet or your camera or wherever that is, and then edit it within those platforms. You can do a basic edit if you use something like InShot or iMovie or one of the amazing Adobe options, right? You can sort of do the basic trims there and then finish the editing. Use the captions, add stickers or effects or anything else that you want to do. Not that you have to, but if you want to, within the individual apps. That will save you time because then you are not editing, number one, for different apps. You're not reshooting. You are not trying to recreate the content identically in different platforms. Now, there are some maybe instances where if you film it within the app itself, maybe you get a little bump, but is that bump worth the time, right? Is a small nudge up, if it even exists, really worth the time that it takes you? Now, there are some content creators who are saying, no, you need to create the content within the app itself. You get a little bit of a boost or a benefit from doing that. I do understand their point. However, is it really worth it? Is whatever those extra views are really worth the extra 15, 20 minutes it takes you to film things in different places? Or does it make more sense to get your content out and get on with your day? Because your business is not just creating content, right? That creating content for your business is a small piece of your business because you still have a whole business to run and clients to see and products to make. So look for shortcuts wherever you can do them. And when it comes to, Facebook or Instagram, something that is more text-based versus video, if you feel the need to change up your text a little bit, absolutely do that. But, if you write it in a Google Doc or some other format, and then you can copy and paste it to different places, that's going to make more sense than trying to create completely original content for Facebook and for Instagram. One of the things I hear often is that somebody being worried about somebody seeing their content too often, or, oh my gosh, what if they've been on my Facebook page and then they see the same content on my Instagram? I'm going to say good. Maybe they will remember it because people are seeing a lot of content, right? So give them the opportunity to see it. But realistically, especially if you can see your analytics, you know that most of your followers are not seeing the posts that you make on Facebook or the posts that you make on Instagram or the posts that you make anywhere. So being repetitive might sound kind of counterintuitive, but it really does help your audience remember what you do, keep you top of mind, and it takes pressure off of you to continually come up with fresh content for 4 or 5 different platforms. Now, there are some really big companies that have entire teams who do this, and yes, they might create individual content for different platforms, but you are not them. You are probably doing this by yourself, maybe with the help of a VA, maybe with a smaller team. So really think about where is the best place for you to spend your time to promote your business, to create content. I'm going to guess that it's not creating 5 individual pieces of content for 5 different platforms. That just doesn't make sense. I'm always saying it, reuse, repurpose, and recycle what you have. Next up is kind of related to what I just said, but it is the idea that you are posting just to post, that there is no plan, no strategy. You're not thinking ahead further than, oh my gosh, I forgot I haven't posted on Instagram in 3 weeks. It's time for me to do that. You want to get out of that habit. It is really easy to fall into it because, again, you have all of these other moving parts of your business. But when you are posting, when you are reaching out, when you are showing up, we want to have some structure and some strategy behind that. Because every single piece of your marketing has a job. Your social media posts should be keeping you top of mind. It should be making you visible. It should be sharing something with your audience that gets them to know, like, and trust you. We talk about that a lot. There's also something called content pillars. And if you want me to make an episode about that, I can do that. Let me know. But these end goals that you have, right? Those sales goals, those, whether they are financial or product based, those end goals that you have, all of your marketing should be supporting you in that direction. So be thinking about why you're posting something and whether or not it helps you get to your goal or not. And this goes also for, any email that you send out, any social media that you post, where you show up. All of these things have a purpose. And if you are posting just to post and you're not planning ahead at all, it makes it really easy and almost inevitable, really, to miss deadlines, to forget things that you meant to include in either a social media post or an email because you are doing it on the fly and there's not a lot of planning ahead. It makes it harder to stay on top of things. And I don't mean that you have to go really deep and plan 6 months of content and stick to that no matter what. Because I know that for me, I would get really bored with that. And I know that several clients I've worked with have said the same kind of thing. But you can have a loose content calendar. You know that you're always going to send an email on Mondays, and you know that you're always going to post on social media on these days with this general kind of topic. Even starting something as basic as that will help you remember to post and to have some intention behind your post. It's also helpful to think ahead for the month of what you need to be promoting, any deadlines that you need to make your clients aware of, any kind of openings that you have in your calendar. Like really thinking about the posts and the content that you make supporting those goals really does sort of shift your attention and lets you think about the reason and the strategy behind just posting to post. So those are my 5 things that I feel people fall into traps when it comes to marketing. I have so many more, you guys. I have so many more. If you want me to make more, let me know and I can happily make more episodes about these topics. If you are looking for ongoing marketing support, that's what I do. I teach you to market better in a way that feels really good to you and matches your goals. So you can learn more about me at gwenmontoya.com, and I will catch you next time.